this is exactly why we need each other, and this is why we look for people to inhabit these dimensions of our lives with us. It's because we do need affection, connection, to feel seen, understood, and accepted and loved, despite being known for all our awfulness. And, to have somebody actually enjoy some of the things about us that we don't think are that charming, and to feel good with each other, to help co-regulate, to stimulate the good neurochemistry that allows for such positive effects on us physically, mentally, socially, spiritually, whatever level you want to look at. Having this kind of a neurochemical cascade that we get from being with people who connect with us and charge us up the right way and allow us to send our charge across the line and be received, and what you can create through the synergy of that, and just have someone to share in that with, and right, to be seen and known and loved anyhow, and right. Really, we really need that in our lives. It's when we get out of balance and we start expecting things from them that aren't reasonable or fair or sane, that we get ourselves into a lot of trouble, and expecting things to be constant. And I don't mean like, you do hope your respect and regard and affection and, connection are fairly constant, but that life changes and people change along the way, and that you need to be in different states, different times, right? That way, just be able to move with that movement and not cling or shape things as if we're like trying to put something in a bell jar on a curio shelf, right? We're trying to make it that we have something living and dynamic between us and the people we have relationships with. And there's certainly no shame in it, although I think a lot of us do feel shame because we're supposed to be like independent, and we're not supposed to admit that we are all essentially needful. We are born nothing but a bundle of needs, floppy necks, and the inability to use toilet facilities, right? Like, we're just needs. That's all we are at first. And we never fully break away from that. As long as we're embodied in this mortal plane, we have needs. And this notion that we shouldn't be needy. No, you don't want to be overly dependent on others. You don't want to outsource the needs that you should be able to meet for yourself or through other means onto another person who is not you and is not the person to meet those needs. You're going to cause frustration and disappointment all around. But yeah, to say I have needs, and I'd like to see if you can meet those needs, and if I can meet yours, and if we can find a balance in that exchange and both be healthier, heartier people who live richer, fuller lives and can share that with one another and extend it beyond us. And that's why we have friends. That's why we have partners. That's why we have love. So we can connect this way and nourish our souls and souls of those we choose to draw close, and to build good lives and light and warmth and richness for all from within that and beyond it. And so, yeah, I think we do need to be able to say, like, yeah, I got needs. That's cool. Here are my needs. What are yours? Can I meet yours? Can you meet mine? And then try to meet each other at whatever level that is. Some people, it's just that it's nice to have somebody who shares an interest, or it's somebody who likes to hear the random things that are going on in your life and share their updates. Maybe it's someone who you feel you can be fully you with, and those people, hold on to them. You feel you can be raw, you can be all the things you are, and still be respected, accepted, embraced, and honored in that. It doesn't get much better than that. Our our whole experience and everything that stems from it will be positively impacted by that connection, by that interplay, by what that yields. And yeah, I think that we are here to connect with ourselves and each other, and I'm troubled by how much we are all seemingly struggling with that. And not every single soul, certainly not, but the vast majority of people, and even few are probably too many. It's too critical to the human experience. The same as we take for granted the idea of human rights in the modern world. That wasn't a notion long, long ago. It was like, human what? Like, go back a few hundred years. That was sort of a novel concept. And I think there's a piece of human rights we don't recognize, which is the right to need and be needed, to love and be loved, to connect and feel worthy of connecting with, right? All these things that so much of what you see people doing, they're trying to gain wealth, power, prestige. Why? At the end of the day, they want to be embraced and accepted, validated, and feel that connection with themselves and each other in life. And Chris Williamson talks a lot about how we do all these things to just be happy. You know, you want to be happy, so you go do all these things, but you trade in your happiness to get rich, powerful, you know, whatever, influential. And in the end, you may not be able to recover the joy where you could always just be in joy and not have to do all of those things. Yes, indeed. And yeah, that's sort of what I see. I see people like striving, and I'm like, what is it you want? Do you want people just to be like, you're a good person, we like you, you're cool, you tell funny jokes, you're the person we count on to repair things or find the way when we're lost, or you know, we don't have. I think we used to have more roles in older forms of society, whether it was as hunter-gatherers or early agrarian people or even small villages later into more recent history. I think people had a role and they knew what it was, and that gave them the sense of purpose, belonging, worth, these things. You know, you're the one tinker in town who can actually fix this thing for me, or the one hooper who can get me some new barrels for next season. Like, you're the person who, you know, you're the one blacksmith who can keep my horses plowing my fields because they need to be shod properly, right? Like, how are you going to see if you don't have a candlestick maker? How are you going to make a proper meal if you don't have a butcher or a baker, right? Like, these things. And now that we've lost that, I think we're all looking to be seen for something that we have our due. And that's not necessarily neurotic. That's kind of how the programming was developed over time. And I think it's very natural. But I think being unable then to be in a place where it's enough just to be, I think that's boss level. To find purpose and place and connection is your foundational level, and you need to do that. That's not wrong. But to know when to let up on that and just be, and how to find the people who are happy that you just are, and to be with them in a way that you can stop human doing and start human being. And I think, yeah, community and family and friends and maybe a special someone, they allow for us to provide for both those levels. And so pretending we're totally self-sufficient and can do for ourselves and we don't need anybody else, like, I guess that sounds good in the storybook, but I think just admitting we need each other is a good step in the right direction toward healing ourselves and our societies ultimately, and creating the kind of world we want to live in. But we have to get honest with ourselves and each other and say, you know, I do have needs. Being able to build a shared narrative with people, being able to be in reciprocity with people that relationships are transactional. They are. It's if they are only transactional, somebody's like, I will provide this and you in return will provide that. It loses a lot of its soul. It's not really quite the same. But there's no real relationship that isn't transactional in some capacity. And being able to get into exchange with people is beautiful. It's so powerful. And I always feel like it creates this sort of safety net around my life where I can feel purposeful by stepping up when people I care about have a need, and I can feel supported when they can step up to meet mine. And we bond through that and we become mentally and emotionally and socially and I think spiritually well through living that way. And I think we become deficient, distorted, and damaged in those ways if we don't. So it's more than a nice to have. I think it's an actual essential for living a good and healthy life and being the kind of people who can contribute to creating a world we want to inhabit. So, all right, there's my piece on that. Till the next round.